Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So just a little bit ago, we were kind of talking about OSU and their sports teams, mainly basketball. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, Friday afternoon they fired their previous head coach Travis Ford, and tonight they hired new head coach Brad Underwood.
Okay. So why did they fire their last coach?
Well, he was the coach for 8 years, and he only won one NCAA tournament game, and that was in his first year. So with players that he didn't even recruit, and he really wasn't good at anything. He didn't recruit well. Um, we had a lack of centers every year. No inside game. We couldn't run an offense. Everybody just stood around. Um, he had problems off the court. Uh, had to kick people off. Uh, he had a recruiting class that completely transferred out. I think it was 5 or 6 guys had transferred out before the end of their sophomore season. So that's a that's an entire class that you're not going to have seniors. Um, he had problems with discipline, and he just wasn't ready to be a head coach at this level.
Okay, so just kind of a lot of reasons why, and they were all kind of just building up. Um, so you mentioned a new coach that was hired tonight. What did you say his name was?
Brad Underwood.
Okay, do you want to kind of tell me a little bit about him? Do you think that he's going to be a good coach?
Well, he wasn't my first choice, but I think he'll be pretty good. He came from Stephen F. Austin in Texas, and I think he went 89-13 over the last 3 years, and that's the winningest percentage to start a head coaching career. And he has had more success in the NCAA tournament than Travis had in 8 years, and he's only been there 3 years. They should have made it to the Sweet 16 this year. They lost late in the game Sunday night, but I think he'll turn out to be pretty good.
Well, that's good. You sound kind of excited, but I did hear you mention he wasn't your first pick. Who was your first pick, and do you want to tell me kind of a little bit about him or why you wanted him to be?
My first pick was Doug Gottlieb. He was a player that transferred here in the late 90s to play under Eddie Sutton. He was a point guard. Very cerebral guy. He understands the game, and after he got out of playing for OSU, he started a broadcast career, and he worked in Oklahoma City in radio for a few years, and then he went to ESPN for a while, and now he works at CBS, and he understands what it takes to succeed at OSU, and he understands how to recruit people to Stillwater, and he really understands the fundamentals of the game. And his dad was a longtime coach, and his brother is the longest tenured coach in the Pac-12, and he really, even though he doesn't have any coaching experience, he really knew what he was talking about, and I think he would have had a lot of success. But our athletic director was just looking to go with someone with more experience.
Okay, it does sound like maybe more experience could help. Do you think that that's the case? Do you think that since this other guy that is coach now is more experienced, that it could pay off in the long run?
I don't know. I think experience is important to an extent, but it's overrated a little bit too. I mean, it's not. Doug has led people. He's been people's boss, so he understands how to be a leader, and he understands how to manage people. And I really don't think it's that big of a deal that he hasn't drawn up a play in a huddle or called a timeout. He understands the basics of basketball, and he understands everything there is to understand about basketball, and that's really what's important. And I feel like if he got a great staff around him, that he would have had a good chance to succeed. And so I think the success is important, and it doesn't always have to come with experience. I think they'll both have good success.
Okay, yeah, I definitely see from both sides. Do you think that this coming season is going to be good for the team? Do you think that it's just a fresh start and you have high hopes for it?
They'll definitely be better than last year. They return their top 2 or 3 best players. The Big 12 Freshman Player of the Year, they return a really good shooter and a lot of good role guys, and I think they'll bring in some transfers, and this new coach should be able to put players in their roles and succeed.
Okay, well, I hope that everything does go good for them. I'm not a huge basketball fan, but I can tell that you're excited about it.
Thank you.
Thanks.